Okay, good morning. Let's continue with the class. Today we'll continue further with the employability skills chapter. I'll move on to book. So in today's session, we'll talk about talking about yourself. How will you talk about yourself? How will you greet about yourself? Right? So so at many occasions you have to introduce yourself, right? So introduction should be in a decent way every time. So that should be the main important thing in this. So because when you talk about yourself, you when you talk in a proper way, that leads to a good kind of communication, right? So so whenever you talk, the first thing you should whenever you talk to a stranger, you first thing you should introduce your name, and then tell about yourself, your age, where do you live, what all things you like and dislikes, right? So important thing is that you should know the naming words, what all things can be used, right? Uh, Before we go further, let's talk about what is a noun. We all know that noun is a naming word which express the name of a person, place, animal, or thing. So, and we have done that verb is a doing word which represents certain actions being done, right? For example, I'm swimming, so I is the noun over here, I is the pronoun, and swimming is the verb which is being used, right? Talking about if this table shows you everything. Name should also introduce, whenever you introduce yourself, you should give your name. I am so and so, I am Harish Sethi, I am Anu, I am Ali, likewise. What then what they do, right? You should tell about what all things you are doing, like you are a student. You can say I am a student, I am a player, I like karate or so. Then you can tell about your age. I'm 15 years old, I'm 16 years old, likewise. You can tell about the place. I stay in this place, I stay in Kapurthala, I stay in Mumbai, Agra, whatever. I like playing chess. Likes and dislikes you can give. I dislike summers. I do not like dolls. I do not like loud noise. Then you can tell about your strengths and weaknesses. I like story. I write stories very well. I'm a very good public speaker. I'm a good team player. Weaknesses you can also tell I leave the task which is incomplete, sometimes incomplete, right? So I get angry very easily, right? So such kind of things you can speak out when you introduce yourself. Filling a form, sometimes instead of talking you will have to write about yourself, right? Sometimes your forms are there, you have to introduce yourself, you have to write about yourself in the forms. It can be typed, it can be printed, right? And you can have blank spaces for the information. Forms are of different kinds. So you should read. The important thing is you should read it thoroughly before filling it. Always write neatly, right? The spellings that you use in the form should be correct. And usually the forms cover up following kind of things, like name is there, where you can enter your name, right? Sometimes the name is split up into one or three parts, like first, what is the first name, what is the middle name, if any, what is the surname, right? And like if I'm Gaurav Kumar Vashisht, so Gaurav is the first name, Kumar is the middle name, Vashisht is the last surname. And if you don't have the middle name, then you skip middle name, you simply write, let's say you write Jaspreet Kaur. The first name is Jaspreet and surname is Kaur, middle name you can skip, right? A form may contain date of birth option, right? And the format of writing the date of birth is we write the day, then write the month, then write the year in numerals, right? So that's the exact way of. Just hold on a minute. Okay, so date of birth can be given, then address may be a column where you can write the postal address of your house. Then in the address you should always include the house number, the street or the area, and the city. Pin code can be there, right? For that you have to put the pin code number there, right? And it's always important part of the address. Then there may be a column for signature, right? In that you have to either put your signature in handwriting, right? Or certain digital signatures can also be put, but digital signatures are very rare, right? Generally we use it for a written kind of form, right? Signatures are important because it is difficult for everyone to copy, right? This is the example. Moving further, we have the way of asking questions. How do we get ask a question to somebody? You know that all of questions ends up with question mark, right? We have question mark at the end of each and every question. There are two basic types of questions: close-ended and open-ended. Now, what are they? The questions that can be answered with yes or no are close-ended questions. If close-ended means there's nothing further to be taken up, right? So the close-ended questions are the questions where answers comes in yes or no, right? Like, are you hungry? Is the question where the answer can come in yes or no only. So these are close-ended questions. And open-ended is where the answer, the reply of the question will be in some kind of sentence, right? Like, what do you like to eat? Then the person may say, I would like to eat an apple, right? So this is open-ended questions, right? So these are the two categories. How to form a question, how to frame a question, how do we write the question? We form the close-ended questions by adding a helping verb, right? Helping verb is also called as auxiliary verb, like be, do, have, such kind of words. These convey additional information such as time and mood also, right? There are some other auxiliary verbs also: can, may, should, etc. So these can, may, should are used where possibility or necessity is there, right? And one way is to take a question sentence without the above words and place such words before the subject. For example, the sentence "I like it" can be changed into close-ended question by adding a word "do" after it. Do I like it? Right. So do we can add up these kind of auxiliary verbs before the sentence, right? Some more examples. They called on the phone every day. Do they called on the phone every day? You share your lunch. Could you share your lunch? Right. So we can add certain auxiliary verbs before these sentences to frame a question, right? I cooked dinner. Do I cook dinner? She can cook dinner. Can she? Right? They cook dinner. Do they cook dinner? So these are the examples. In some cases, we exchange the position of the subject and the verb to create a close-ended question, right? For example, he is there. Is he there? So is and he both are replaced, right? Is come first and he goes after is. They were cleaning their room. Were they cleaning their room? And this is also one category, right? So this can also be used. Then is how to form or frame open-ended questions. In open-ended questions, we use um, different question words, like these are given: what, when, why, who, where. Such kind of words we use. These are question words. So where and what did you do? I went to the park. Why did you go there? How did you go? Right. So these are all open-ended. We get a sentence in the answer. So the answer is not in no and yes. Right. So this is how framing of question sentences can be done. Then how will you introduce your family? Talking about your family, right? So for that, new words we have to add. Names of the relatives must be known. You should know what is the relationship, and what is the name of the person. So, like parents who are grandparents, grandparents are the parents of your mother and father. They are called as grandparents. Grandfather and grandmother are the grandparents. Sisters of both fathers and mothers are called as aunts, and brothers are called as uncles, father and mother's brothers. Children of all the aunts and uncles are called as cousins, and family members of husband or wife are called as in-laws. Right? We know all these examples: brother-in-law, sister-in-law, father-in-law, mother-in-law. Right? So this is relative tree given here. You can refer this tree to go through, like grandparents. Then grandparents may we have father and mother, and this is father's sister or father's brother. Right? Similarly, we have grandparents over here with the mother side, right? So we have mother's sisters and mother's brother. They are uncle and aunts, right? And mother's father's brother, the father's sister is a sister-in-law of mother's brother, and likewise, right? We know this all. Words that show relations, right? Uh, we call them as adjectives, possessive adjectives. The types of adjectives which describes the relationship or ownership are known as possession adjectives, possessive adjectives, right? So they represent the relation. Like these are the some of the examples: my, ours, your, his, her, its, our, their. Right? My, that means it belongs to me. You, that belongs to you. His belongs to him. Her belongs to her. Likewise, right? This, my mother is a teacher. Where is your sister? Your sister. His cousin. Her father. Its mother. Right? Our grandparents. Their children. Fine. So these are some of the examples. And if you talk about questions, then um, questions can also be formed, right? We also use apostrophe s in some of the cases for giving or for representing possessive kind of pronouns, possessive adjectives, like father. The apostrophe s belongs to father. Mother's, Ravi's, Mr. Sharma's, right? So Mr. Sharma's uncle is very old. My mother's mother is my grandmother, right? So these sentences can be used deliberately in sentence in forming the sentences. Then how do we describe our habits and routines? Habits are, it's a practice that can be follow that we follow, especially the one that is very hard to stop and give up, right? So habit is anything you do and it is difficult or hard to stop it, right? For example, up at a particular time is a habit, or getting up early morning 6 o'clock is a habit. And routine is a regular, ordered way of doing activities for a fixed amount of time, right? Like you do exercises every day, so that is your routine, which you do gradually each every day. It's a routine habit. Now here is the concepts of habits and routines. How would Priya describes a daily routine to the friend? So daily routine is like this. Every day I get up this at 7 o'clock. I take bath at that time, breakfast at 8, and this is all routine is about, right? Like some habits like taking a bath or watching TV, doing some household work. These are all some. These are habits. Whereas this, the time foundation is the routine, right? Now habits describe करना है तो this is the way, right? I always oil and comb my hair. This is my habit, right? I always read a book in the evening or before going to bed. That is my habit, right? So the words like always, never, sometimes, they are generally used uh, for representing the habits you have, right? They are called as adverb of frequency, right? So that they are used to describe when you do an activity, right? Like I go to temple weekly. This weekly word is the adverb here. I sometimes go to temple. This is the adverb of frequency here, right? Talking about next thing is asking for a direction. If you want to ask for a direction, what is the way? So whenever you need to go to a new place, what do? We generally follow the map, or we politely ask somebody, right? And how do we ask? We use these words, excuse me, and such kind of words before asking, and then greeting them. Good morning, good afternoon, you can say, right? Right. Some terms for giving directions are shown, like these are the terms which are generally signs which are generally used for directions. Go straight, U turn, left, right, turn left, turn like that. Go past, between two lines, go cross. These signs are also used sometimes, right? And you must thank the person who helped you. This is again a good habit. Before leaving, when you ask somebody for directions, then if he or she replies you, then you must give a thankful reply at the end. And what are the words that you should use? You can use thank you, you can use thank, I appreciate that, I really appreciate that, right? So thank you is a polite way of answer. Thanks is the same thing, but is more casual, right? Thank you is formal. If you're talking to a senior or to some person who is older in age than you should use thank you. When you are talking to the person who is younger to you or of your age, then you can use thanks, right? I appreciate that is more polite than thank you. And I really appreciate is when someone helps you out by going out of their way. So matlab they drop up their own way and then they try to help you. In that case, we should use I really appreciate that. And more about direction using landmarks. Landmarks वही हैं symbols, the describing positions. It is very helpful if you mention landmarks like a bus stand, a bridge, a lake, or an office, etc., while giving directions. So whenever you give directions to somebody, so you should always use these landmark positions, right? So to give directions using the location of the known places, we use locations or position words These are called as prepositions, right? Prepositions, we have talked about this before also, like on, near to, opposite, in front of. ये prepositions हम लोग use करते हैं whenever we are giving certain um, directions to somebody, right? So like this, these are some of the landmarks based on the location. So this is post office, this is Cosmos Mall. The Cosmos Mall is next to the post office, right? Or we can say mall is near the cleaner, right? Or the mall is opposite to the petrol pump, if they are opposite outside, right? And this is the road, you can see the figure is on the bridge road, right? On the bridge road, on the road, next to the post office, opposite to the petrol pump. All three positions can be explained simultaneously. Fine. So that's all about this particular unit. This unit is over now. The next unit that we need to start is self-management skills. See, this part is quite important for everybody of every age, right? Because managing yourself is more important than managing others, right? So important thing is you should understand your strengths, you should understand your weaknesses, right? And based on that you should analyze what to do and what not to do. So it's again a very important topic. So before we go further, we should talk about certain terms, some important terms. Beliefs. What are beliefs? Feeling of certainty that something exists and is true, especially one without a proof. So if you believe certain things which are true, that is your belief. For example, that one belief in a friendship, or someone believes in superstitions. So you don't ask for proof for that particular belief you have, right? If you believe in friendship, you believe in your friends, then we don't need a proof to show it that do you believe it or not, right? So anything which is certain, which is existing, and we don't require a proof for that, is a belief. And what are values? Values are the principles of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. So values क्या है? वो principles जिससे we can judge what is important in life, what is the important part of life. That are the values, right? And they have very major influence on somebody's behavior as well as attitude, right? So, and it serves as the broad guidelines in all the situations, right? So, like honesty, equality, community involvement, these are some of the values which we people must have, right? If you are honest, you always say true. So, and you always um, with whom you are talking to or with whom you are staying, and you think that usko humne nuksan nahi karna hai, so that means you are honest, right? So this is the value you have. Then a person may also have like and dislike. Like is something that you enjoy or love doing. So anything like I like playing hockey, let's say. So I like solving mathematical problems, right? That are the likes. And dislike are opposite of the likes. You disapprove it or do not enjoy doing it, right? Like I dislike um, the one who doesn't treat people equally. Fine. Opinion is a view or a judgment formed about something or somebody. If you form a view, that if you form a judgment, you make a judgment that भाई ये जो person है ये ऐसा है, that is your opinion, right? So For example, opinions about different people about their career choices. Like if I am, my opinion is to become this, and others may have a different opinion. Then what is background? It's the person's experience, training, and education. If you talk about what is the background of a person, कि उसको कितना experience है, कि क्या उसने training की है, क्या उसका education level है, right? And background always emerges from the childhood, education, type, or family. Then what is identity? A set of behavioral or personal characteristics by which an individual is recognizing as a member of the group, right? So identity means if the area or the thing in which you are expertise, and you are different from others, right? And identity may come from citizenship or religion or caste of the person. uh, so it is basically, identity is sum up of all the things. It's all about your opinions, beliefs, values, likes, dislikes, religion, etc. Everything, if you sum up, that is your identity, right? So identity is the one which you should do. You should know about your identity, because that will help you to measure your strengths and weaknesses. Then is knowing yourself means understanding who you are and what you like and what are your dislikes, what are your beliefs, what are your opinions, what is your background, uh, what you do well and what you do not do well, right? This is all knowing about yourself. Now, self motivation, self analysis में सबसे important है strength और weaknesses का analysis, right? If you are self aware means you know what are your strengths and you know what are weaknesses, then you can achieve good in life. Who am I means looking inside the usual characteristics such as name, qualification, relationship with others, right? So it actually means what all strengths you have, what all skills you have, what all talents you have, or what are your weaknesses, right? Now there's some picture format given here. Strength and ability are what one does well and is doing good at all. Okay, who the person who is good at one particular thing, that is his strength. Every person has his own sort of strength, and it can be different in different people, right? Some people may be good in studies, some people will be good in playing, like he plays cricket very well, it's the strength of that person. Weakness is the area of improvement, right? The area where you need improvement, right? And every person do have weaknesses also. For example, person cannot wake up on time or is not able to cope up with pressure. So these are some of the weaknesses a person can have. This is a core important point over here. By understanding ourselves, we can know what we can do and what we cannot do. And based on that information, we can place what we can do to improve ourselves. And by improving, we will feel confident about ourselves. So this is the whole process of making yourself, the advantage of being self-aware, right? Then we'll talk about how will you identify okay, what are your strengths and what are your weakness. Finding out strengths, take time off to think about what you do well. So just take time, think over what all things you can do in a better way, and think of anything that you are always good at. You can take out any topic, anything you are always very good in that. You like, you may be good in talking, you may be good in uh, some particular sport, you may be good in some of the skills, speaking skills or writing skills or listening skills or whatever, right? So take your time and think over. And the other way is think of what others appreciate you. बाकी लोग जो आपको जिस चीज में अप्रिशिएट करते हैं, वो चीज सोचो, दैट इज दी योर इनर स्ट्रेंथ, And how will you find weaknesses? Point out the areas where you struggle and what you find difficult to do. So these are the way. Struggle area where you struggle is a weakness you have. And always look at the feedback you receive from others, right? Look at the feedbacks. Feedbacks means जो लोग आपके बारे में बोलते हैं कि भाई आप ऐसा नहीं कर सकते हो, ये वैसा नहीं कर सकते हो. So think over that. What are the things, right? And be open to feedback. Always ask for feedback. Accept your weaknesses without feeling bad about it. So don't feel bad if somebody tells you about your weakness. Just accept it and then try to improve that area, right? Some of the questions are given here. First, and how am I different from others? How do I do better than others? These are all strengths. What do others people admire in me? What makes me out? Sound out means how you are different from others. And these are how do we identify weaknesses? Where do I worry or struggle? Where, how, and why do others perform better than me? What advice for improvement do I often receive from others? These are some of the questions which will make you identify what are your weaknesses and what are your strengths, right? Then next is difference between interests and abilities. Interest are the things that we enjoy doing. इंटरेस्ट का मतलब वो है कि जो आपको अच्छा लगता है करने में, right? Which the activities that you like to do in free time, activities you are curious about. Whenever somebody talks about it, you are ready to listen to that, right? The activities you want to learn. So these are all different activities of interest you have, right? Sometimes interests do not match with your abilities. This is important over here. So you can improve your ability is anything you can do, but interest is what you like, right? So to gain interest in everything, you should try to improve your ability, right? You may like cricket, but you may not be good at playing the game. So your interest is cricket, but your ability is not equivalent to that. Fine. So that's the main difference between interests and ability. So I think I'll end up here now because the time is running, and we'll do the next part, next session, next time. So okay then, goodbye to all. Fine. So just go through all the things. If you find some difficulty and problems, you can discuss.